The establishment is in full panic mode over Donald Trump winning another election. And here we go.
You're going to look like idiots because he will get away with, he will imprison, You're going to look like idiots because he will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country. Just look at his past.
So, by the way, if you're talking about you guys and the political elite, that you're trying to make me vote for him.
Yeah, don't dangle.
And second of all, I will look to his past. He was already president for 4 years. Who did he imprison? Did he go after Hillary Clinton? No. The exact opposite happened. The exact opposite. They all concocted this Russiagate conspiracy theory. The FBI lied to the FISA court to get taps on his phone. They tapped everybody in his campaign. They put now they're 94 bogus felony charges against the former president of the United States using the RICO statute to go after your political opponents. That's what's happening. So everything he's saying that Donald Trump is going to do, they're doing right now.
Also, why is he talking?
And they're trying to execute their biggest opponent is Julian Assange. And they're trying to execute him. They're slowly killing him right now in Belmarsh. That's what the United States government, that's what Joe Biden, that's what Joe Scarborough, that's what Al Sharpton, that's what Mika is doing right now. They're endorsing killing the generation's greatest journalists, execution, and imprisoning their political opponents. Everything he just said, and anything, they'll do anything except get a better candidate that'll actually help the people. So you got to vote for Joe Biden. Why? Because Wall Street and Boeing and Pfizer tell you to, because that's who signs his paycheck. And that's why they're saying that.
Well, I don't understand why he's saying it to the stuffed corpse of Al Sharpton.
That does look like a stuffed corpse,
that looks
doesn't
like
it?
Straight out of Norman Bates bringing mother some coffee.
They're afraid that Donald Trump. Look at the last 4. What did he do? He had the opportunity to do all those things you just said he was going to do. He didn't do any of them.
Execute?
He didn't execute.
Don't you give me hope, Joe Scarborough.
He didn't imprison his political enemies. He didn't do. You're doing all those things that you claim Donald Trump's going to do.
Oh, by the way,
I'm not for voting for any of those people, but the more people like this freak out, boy, does it make it attractive for a lot of people to vote for Joe Biden, just to make people like this go crazy.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking how Mike is piece of shit father, the amount of crimes that guy is responsible for alone. Do you know all his involvement in our amazing world?
Yeah.
Order?
Yeah. Brzezinski. Yeah.
That's her pops.
And let me. And what they're really worried about, the president of the United States doesn't give a shit about the American people. They've already pledged. Joe Biden won't give us a living wage. Joe Biden won't give us health care. Joe Biden won't help the homeless people who are living under every bridge. Joe Biden won't make sure you go bankrupt if you want to get an education. They don't give a shit about America. What they care about is capitalism. So Joe Biden is saying we can't allow Donald Trump to take over capitalism.
Well,
that's what he's saying.
That's not exactly true because, they are paying pensions and school teacher salaries and health care in Ukraine. And here we have Joe Scarborough. Now, let's remember this. This is Donnie Deutsch. Now, this guy was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. His dad started an advertising business. He inherited, sold it for $200 million. Deutsch means German, by the way.
Right.
If anybody took Deutsch
and
in
so
high school.
Watch when he slips up and tells the truth. This is when they thought Bernie Sanders might become president, and he might give people health care, and he might give people a living wage, and he might end the wars. That's what people thought Bernie might do. And listen to what happened back then.
I mean, others, again, are saying it. The Democratic Party is in crisis right now. Trump is going to devour every one of these candidates if they can't say they support capitalism. But yes, it needs to be reformed. It had to be reformed after the Gilded Age. It had to be reformed by Teddy Roosevelt. It had to be reformed by FDR. It had to be reformed again by LBJ. Yes, capitalism has to be reformed from time to time to work for all Americans. But my God, if you're afraid to say you're a capitalist, in America, I'm just going to tell you, people on the left tweeting today may not like it. Let me let you in on a little secret. If that is a crisis for your party, you're going to lose in 2020. Just, you know what? Pull up the stakes on the tent and just pack her up. The party's over.
You're going to lose in a landslide. Joe, I'm going to take it one step further because this is how dangerous socialism. I find Donald Trump reprehensible as a human being, but a socialist candidate is more dangerous to this country as far as the strength and well-being of our country than Donald Trump. I would vote for Donald Trump, a despicable human being.
Oh, what's the big idea with Donnie Deutsch? It sounds like Michael Rappaport right now.
He was going to vote for Donald Trump. So that's, you know, how he really feels. Now, Joe Scarborough has to remind him, you're on camera. You can't say that on camera, Donnie, you stupid idiot. And so watch what happens.
No, you won't.
Let me tell you something.
Stop yourself.
Let me correct myself. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. You always help myself.
You will never vote for a bigot, a guy that's made bigoted statements for the past 3.
So that's why you won't vote for Donald Trump, because he's a bigot, but you will vote for Jim Crow Joe Biden, who Kamala Harris said was a racist? Where does that put Joe Biden? Does their iPhone have an N-word counter on it that tallies up their competing racism at the end of every week so we can compare Donald Trump and Joe Biden? You don't think Joe Biden's a racist?
I think he's a nice grandpa. I don't really know too much.
You can't. So that's why he's saying you can't vote for Trump, because he's a bigot.
But we know who the alpha male of this relationship is, huh?
Joe Biden, the reason why which I had to explain to Harvard professor Cornel West when he came on this show and tried to pretend he was dumber than me, I had to explain to him that the reason why black and brown people are locked up at much higher rates than white people in America is because of Jim Crow racist Joe Biden.
I wrote the damn bill.
Not because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump actually helped black people get out of prison
yeah, that's right.
through the First Step Act. So again, and Cornel West, just because he's an establishment motherfucker, had to come on this show and pretend he didn't know that.
Yeah.
And he had to pretend that didn't matter, just like Joe Scarborough. And he had to have a dumb pothead jagoff comedian explain it to him, and Cornel West still pretended that he didn't understand what I was saying. Why? Because he's not going to risk his next book deal for you, and he's not going to risk his next invitation on Anderson Cooper or this asshole show for you. He'll give a speech, but he certainly isn't going to tell you the truth when it comes to exactly what the establishment's doing right now, and certainly not going to tell you the truth about Joe Biden. But he will come on this show and think he could bullshit Jimmy Dore because I'm a dumb pothead comedian. But he's so bad at it because he's lived in ivory towers his entire fucking adult life, unlike me, who worked with bricks my whole life until I got it then banging my head against the blue-collar comedy wall so I can see through bullshitters like Cornel West.
Do you think Cornel...
And that's the kind of shit Cornel West is propping up right now.
Do you think he was maybe angling for this stuffed Al Sharpton spot on the Morning Joe show?
Maybe he was.
You know, once Al Sharpton wears out and they can't patch him up, they're going to need a new stuffed Al Sharpton spot for ex-radicals.
The reason why black and brown people are locked up in this country is because of Joe Biden, not because of Donald Trump. Try to explain that to a Harvard professor. They pretend they don't understand it.
Well, that's what you go to Harvard for, to not get stuff like that.
That's why you got to spend 45 years in ivory towers to not understand shit like that, even when it's right in your fucking face.
What, do you want a loose cannon, Jimmy? He's not going to be a loose cannon. He's going to be a controlled cannon. Look at this loose cannon shaming by Morning Joe.
He calls America a company. That's called a Freudian slip. And what is a Freudian slip? It's when the truth actually slips out.
Is more dangerous to this country as far as the strength and well-being of our country than Donald Trump. I would vote for Donald Trump, a despicable human being.
No, you won't.
Let me tell you something.
Stop yourself.
Let me correct myself. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. You always help myself.
You will never vote for a bigot, a guy that's made bigoted.
What are you talking about?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I misspoke.
That's
sir,
right.
please.
I went outside the guardrails of shit lib society for a second.
Okay, go put the ball harness on. You know what happens.
You know what it is.
Get the cage for your nuts.
Come on, get the gimp.
I guess the past 3
Joe,
years.
thank you for correcting me. I stand corrected.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
I will be so distraught.
Look at Joe.
To the point that could even come out of my mouth if we have a socialist, because that will take our country so down. And we are not Denmark. I love Denmark. That's not who we are. And if you love who we are and all the great things that still have to have,
I don't love what has happened to this country.
Donnie, I hate who you are. I
hate who you are. I hate who Joe is. I hate who Joe Biden is.
What are those bracelets you got on? I hate those too. What are those, charm bracelets?
Look at this shit.
Nobody, you're
Look
a
at
punk.
this shit.
Oh.
That's what a rich kid does to try to feel hip and cool.
What are those, Russell Brand bracelets?
Right? Yeah. You want to know who Donnie Deutsch is?
Yeah.
Let's listen to the rest of this.
I just saw who he is.
Binders put on the side. Please step away from the socialism. And let me correct myself. I will never vote for Donald Trump. Thank you.
Yeah. Correct yourself.
We all know you will. We all know you probably did.
Hey, why don't you go sit down and have a pee?
Yeah. Donnie Deutsch joined his father's advertising firm, David Deutsch Associates, in 1983. In 1989, David Deutsch handed full control of the agency to Donnie, who became chairman. He then renamed the agency Deutsch Inc.
German Inc.
and sold it to Interpublic Group of Companies in 2000 for $265 million.
So that was his big idea.
In 2011, Donnie Deutsch's Manhattan condo went up for sale for $33 million. That's who Donnie Deutsch is.
Wow. I consider him a CEO of this company. I mean country. This company. What an asshole, dude.
Yep. And I would love to have Cornel West come back on the show and apologize for pretending to be dumber than me in many, many different ways. Not just that way. When he pretended to not see the connection between the prosecution of Stop Cop City protesters and Donald Trump using the same RICO statutes and the exact same grand jury, pretended not to see that the establishment is now using the Justice Department and RICO laws to go after anybody who goes up against the establishment. He pretended he called me a Trumper when I pointed that out to him. That's your profile and courage.
It had dimensions of fascism.
It had dimensions of fascism.
If you had $265 million, by the way, would you ever let Joe Scarborough punk you out of the thing
no.
that he also thinks? Joe Scarborough thinks the same thing. Would you even let him bitch you out like that on national? If you had $265 million.
If Bernie Sanders was the nominee, Joe Scarborough and Donnie Deutsch would both vote for Donald Trump. And Joe Scarborough was like, dude, you're on TV. You can't, no, that's what we say to each other off camera.
Yeah.
Okay. I never voted for Donald Trump.
Whoopi might hear you.
Hey, come see us doing a live stand-up show. We'll be in Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California. Then we're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, and Boston, Massachusetts. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.